This is Eric Rader with PianoSecrets.com, and have you ever needed piano chord inversions explained in simple, basic, easy to understand language? Well, in this video, I'm going to do exactly that, and I'm going to show you how chord inversions can be used to be able to make your playing sound more smooth and take your piano playing to the next level. Piano chord inversions are probably the simplest and most impactful thing that you can use when trying to enhance your piano playing. It's really one of the most easiest things that you can implement right now that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck when you're trying to enhance your skills at playing the piano. Because what they can do is they allow your piano playing to, rather than it being so robotic and basic, it can really open up a lot more opportunities for you to play different things on the piano rather than just basic simple chords that you're used to playing. So chord inversions can allow you to play chords in different ways. It can allow you to play different voicings. It can make your piano playing not sound so jumpy, and it can overall just make your playing sound a lot better with very, very minimal work. And you don't have to really do a whole lot. You can just start playing these inversions in just a few seconds, and you can start hearing how your piano playing is going to get better in just a little bit of time. So the basics of a chord inversion is you've got different ways that you can play a chord. Now, most people when they first start learning to play chords is they start with learning the root position chord. So if we're thinking about a C major chord, we are typically used to playing that as a C, E, and G. So what we can do with these inversions is that we can take these basic chords that we're used to playing, these root position chords, and we can rearrange or adjust the notes in different orders to give us different voicings and give the chord a different sound. Rather than having to learn a brand new chord or to add more notes to the chord, we can take those notes and just rearrange them to play a different chord. And that's the basics of what a chord inversion does, is that it allows you to use the same notes but just rearrange them in a different way to give it a different sound. So for most chords, there's usually three different inversions that you can play. There's the root inversion that everyone's familiar with, and then there's two other inversions that you can play of that same chord. Now, depending on the number of notes that are in the chord, there's the same number of notes or the same number of inversions for each number of notes that are in that chord. So for example, if you have a 3-note chord, then you can play 3 different inversions. If you have a 4-note chord, you can play 4 different inversions, and so on. So depending on the number of notes in the chord, that's how many inversions you can use of that chord. So let's take a look at the C major chord, and let's see how we can rearrange these notes to give the chord a different sound. The C major chord that we're all used to looking at is the C, E, and G. And this is the root position C major that everybody's used to seeing. And this is what, if you're first beginning to learn how to play chords, this is probably the first chord that you're going to learn to play. So what we can do now is we can take these notes, the C, E, and G, and we can rearrange them. So let's take the bottom note of the C, of the C major chord, which would be the C, and instead of playing it on the bottom, let's take it and let's move it onto the top of the chord. So this is what's going to be called our first inversion. And this is going to be an E, G, and C, which gives us our first inversion of the C major chord. So now that we've made the first inversion, we can do it again. We can take the bottom note of the chord and we can move it to the top. So now that we have this E, G, and C chord, we can now take that E and we can move it to the top of the chord, and we will have the second inversion of the C major chord. So now our notes in the C major chord are G, C, and E. And this gives us another variation of the C major chord that has a little bit of a different sound and can make the chord quality sound a little bit different than just that basic root position C major chord. So let's take a look at another example. Let's look at the F major chord. So the typical F major chord that everyone's used to playing is the root position, which is F, A, and C. So what we can do is the same thing that we did with the C major chord, is we can take the bottom note of the chord and we can move it to the top of the chord. So rather than playing F, A, and C, we take the F from the bottom and we move it to the top of the chord, and now we have the A, C, and F, which gives us our first inversion of the F major chord. So because we have 3 notes in this F major, we can do another inversion, which is going to be our second inversion. So what we can do now is we can take the bottom note of the chord and move it to the top again. And this will give us, we have this A at the bottom of the chord now, and we can take the A and move it to the top. And this gives us another different combination for the F major chord. So now we have C, F, and A as our second inversion for the F major chord. So as you can see, we're able to take each of these notes and move them to the top of the chord, and it will give us a different sound for that particular chord. So I don't want you to think that the only way that you're able to make inversions is to take the bottom chord or the bottom note and move it to the top. You can do the same thing and take the top note and move it to the bottom of the chord, and it'll give you the same effect or give you the same type of thing. So in this same example, the F major chord, the F, A, and C, what we can do now is we can take the top note, which would be the C, and we can move it to the bottom of the chord. So now we'll have a C, F, and A as another inversion. And now this is the same thing as our second inversion that we talked about a minute ago, but now we're playing it lower rather than moving it on top. We're moving it down. And so we're just playing a different inversion or a different register of that chord, and we're just moving it down rather than moving it up. And it's the same exact concept. We're just moving notes down rather than moving them up. So why are chord inversions so important? Chord inversions allow you to play more smoothly. They allow you to make your chord transitions a lot faster and have them be, rather than jumping from one chord which is way up top to another chord which is way down low, you can just play these different inversions that are right next to each other, and it makes it easy so you're not playing so choppy, you're playing more smooth. You're also able to play along with the melody. So if you're wanting to add some melody notes into a song, you can quickly and easily add those notes in there by playing these different inversions. So you don't have to jump all over to these different chords. You can just add the melody notes in there because you're playing these different inversions. So chord inversions are awesome because they help you to be able to start playing songs and playing these different variety of chords in a really quick way, and makes your playing sound have a lot more variety to the chords that you're playing, rather than just playing these simple basic root position chords that you've probably learned when you were first starting to play the piano. Down in the description box, there's a link that you can download a free chart that has every single major and minor chord inversion listed on an easy to read chart that will show every single note and every single major and minor chord inversion that you can have absolutely free. All you have to do is click the link down in the description and you can grab your copy of the chord inversions chart. So if you have a question about how to use chord inversions, make sure you add a comment down in the comment section below. And if you found this video useful, make sure that you give it a like and share it with somebody who you think might find this information helpful, that they might be able to use to make their piano playing sound better and add more variety to their playing. And make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you can get updates every time that we add a new video. And make sure that you click the little bell icon so that you can get notified every time we add a new video to our channel, and so that you can get updates every time that we have new and fresh content. And I will see you on the next one.